In 1960, if you walked down a rain-slick sidewalk in a hustling, bustling city, the assault to your senses was the cacophony of sound. The traffic, the horns, the sirens, the rattling of lift gates on delivery trucks. It's a problem because you just heard a juicy piece of gossip that you have to quickly call your client with because it's going to lead to closing the biggest deal of your career. You need to deliver the bombshell in measured tones, but the world is just too damned loud. And then you see your salvation. A glowing beacon of glass and aluminum on the corner. You step inside, the heavy bifold door glides shut with a satisfying thunk, and suddenly, the city noise vanishes. For the cost of one thin dime, you haven't just bought a phone call, you've rented a private sanctuary in the middle of the chaos. I'm Philip Mershon, welcoming you back to the Mid-Century Vault because today we're stepping inside the evolution of the payphone booth. For practical reasons, the earlier telephone booths were really twofold. Protection from the weather, for both the equipment and the user, but also privacy. See, this is an era where there was only one phone in the house and your whole family in proximity. And there also existed a little thing called party lines. One phone line shared by 2 or 3 or more households where neighbors could eavesdrop. And so the phone booth was really the only place you could safely speak freely. It was the original cone of silence. It was also briefly in the late 50s the location of a fad where college kids stuffed as many of their bodies as they could into telephone booths. Cheeky little monkeys. Before the 1950s, the phone booth was pretty much just a wooden closet. It was one of these types of contraptions that Clark Kent would often duck into for a quick change in order to save the world one more time. But by the mid-century, the aesthetic had shifted from furniture to infrastructure. And we went from the classic Bell Systems wooden standard to the Airlight. Introduced in 1954, this was the booth most people of my era remember. It moved away from the dark wood and toward anodized aluminum and tempered glass. It was designed to look airy and modern, reflecting the space-age optimism of the time. It featured integrated lighting and a glass ceiling, making it feel less like a coffin and more like a high-tech capsule. Of course, you could still find the opulent ones if you were in, say, the Waldorf Astoria or a high-end old-school railroad terminal. Those tiny temples of commerce were built-in mahogany banks of booths that featured plush leather seats, thick carpeting for sound dampening, and even small fans in the ceiling to keep the air moving while you negotiated your next big merger. Between 1945 and 1975, which was the peak era, there were millions of payphone booths in the United States, and they were everywhere. Bars, restaurants, markets, gas stations, middle of nowhere. Employees used them. The boss used them. They were always available for an impromptu chat or a scheduled communication. And contrary to many erroneous reports, New York City still has 4 freestanding booths left. Now, how well they work, I couldn't tell you. And coincidentally, they're all located on West End Avenue at 66th, 90th, 100th, and 101st Street. And if you look closely in the rest of the vault, it isn't entirely empty either. You can still find a few Superman-style booths left. My favorites are the 3 non-functioning, purely decorative ones located in the legendary Musso Frank restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard. Opened in 1919 and in its current location since 1934. If you're ever in there, go into one of those booths and sit on the seat as you comprehend that every famous behind in the history of Hollywood has sat in the same place. Before we lock the vault for the day, I'd love to hear from you. What was the one phone call you made from a phone booth that changed your life? Was it to accept a job offer? Was it a breakup? Or was it a "Mom, come pick me up" moment? I had a few of those. Click the like button for me, and until next time, we're sorry, the number you have reached has been disconnected or is no longer in service.